apologies, I should have been here 6 o'clock really, but I'm a little late, so I can only apologize. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Let me hear you, because you're here to please Krishna, right? Are you here to please yourself or please Krishna? You've come here to have association of Krishna, right? So when you're taking Krishna's name, don't be shy, because guess what? It doesn't matter what your neighbor's thinking. You're thinking, you've come here, you've devoted your time, you've sacrificed your time from your day-to-day living so you can please the Supreme Personality of Krishna, okay? So focus on Krishna, please, and please don't be shy, just sing. Don't worry, your voice sounds nice to Krishna, okay? Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Your chants, please. Loud and clear. Let it go to Krishna's beautiful ears. Thank you. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashodanandan Braj Jana Ranjanam. Yashodanandan Braj Jana Ranjanam. Jamuna Tira Banchari. Jamuna Tira Banchari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokul Nand, Radha Gokul Nand Radhe. Jaya Radha Gokulanand Radha Gokulanand Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Gaura Nitai, Jaya Gaura Nitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Gurudev. Bolo Shri Radha Gokulanand Bhagwan Ji ki. So thank you again. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so Bhagavad Gita as it is, written by obviously His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, and the verse goes like this. So this is Sanskrit. I'm not expecting you all, including myself, to be scholars, and Srila Prabhupada never said you have to be scholar about something. As long as we understand the meaning, that's the important bit. So luckily for us, he's translated. So it's just going to be, please try and, I'll say once, try and say once, and we'll see what we can then take on from there. We can only try, isn't it? It's like kids. They try to please children, they try to please their parents. We are also kids to Shri Radha Gokulananda Ji. Let's try and please Krishna, okay, through this. So I'll say one line, then you repeat, and then we take on from there. Yam hi na vyadhyant ete. Yam hi na vyadhyant ete. Purusham purusar sabha. Purusam purusar sabha. Sammadukha sukham dhiram. Samadukha sukham dhiram. Samritvaya kalpate. So amritatvaya kalpate. So translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. All best among men. So Purusham Purusar Sabha is all best among men, meaning Arjun. The person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation, a reward for us. So why should we doing all these things? Why should we not be affected? So Krishna is introducing this, you know, all these things that we never knew, and all these schools now, they have these dangle the carrot policy or reward or recognition for performance and all these other stuff. Look how back it goes to. He's saying, Sa amritatavya kalpate. Certainly is eligible for liberation. So that's what it is. I'm just going to be reading a little purport, and then we will actually talk about what we need to get out of this verse, yeah? and what Krishna's message is that we ought to understand in this. So, purport by His divine grace, anyone who is steady in his determination for the advanced stage of spiritual realization can equally tolerate the onslaughts of distress and happiness, is certainly a person who's eligible for liberation. In the Varnashram institution, the fourth stage of life, namely the renounced order or the sannyas, is a painstaking situation. But one who is serious about making his life perfect surely adopts the sannyas order of life in spite of all difficulties. The difficulties usually arise from having to sever family relationships or to give up the connection of wife and children. But if anyone is able to tolerate such difficulties, surely his path to spiritual realization is complete. Similarly, in Arjun's discharge of duties as a Kshatriya, he is advised to persevere, even if it is difficult to fight with his family members or similarly beloved persons. Lord Chaitanya took sannyas at the age of 24, and his dependents, like his young, beautiful wife as well as old mother, had no one else to look after them. Yet, for a higher cause, he took sannyas and was steady in the discharge of higher duties. That is the way of achieving liberation from this material bondage. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjala Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadasi Sa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yutapad Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Tam Sajivam Sadhvetam Sadhadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchange Gorangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhescha Kripa Sindhubhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. What a beautiful culture we are in. So all these prayers, why are we doing this? We're doing it because do your children, or when you were children, did you go to your parents and touch their feet or got their ashirwad or the blessings before you went for anything big in your life? It could have been exams when you were in school. Did mom come rushing with a bit of yogurt or sweet to make it auspicious? When we enter the house, when you enter with a bride, anything you do, pretty much, such a beautiful culture. You have respect for elders because they are your guides, they are your Shiksha Guru to a certain extent in so many ways. So you get the blessings rather than get on the wrong side of people. Our culture is try and get on the right side of people, get their good feelings, blessings for you. Automatically, some of that success is going to be dependent on that. I'm not saying that if you touch your mother's feet and go and do an exam and you've not studied all night, you think you're going to get merits, right? Everything within the thing, but it helps that mother's feelings of success for their child, it always helps, yeah? So this is how beautiful it is. So here, just to give you a little bit of a background, that we have Arjun, as you all know, going to the battlefield, seeing on the other side all these elders that he's always taken blessings from, all these elders who've always taught him how to be successful in life. He is the one having to fight against his gurus, his teachers, his cousins, his parents, right? Not parents, but, like in our culture, as you know, even if it's your Masi, meaning Ma Jesse, right? So it's like a mother. Similarly, your father's brother is also deemed as a second father. We call big dada, small dada, all these other things. It's beautiful culture of respecting relation. But at the same time, in this instance, we know that Arjuna was not being treated fair by these people or his relationships. So he's come to this stage where he can see all these lovely kinsmen that he's grown up with, and he doesn't want to fight because he's thinking, even if I do become successful and I win this kingdom, what would I do without all these lovely people who've had some sort of bearing in raising me? So this is where, through Arjun, and he's in distress stage, and what does he do when we are all distressed? What do? We go to somebody that we can get answers from. Is that correct? We all have times where we think we may be very learned, but there comes a time where you think, you know what, I need to go and seek answers because I am at that stage where I need some help. So you go, and this is where he speaks to Krishna, and Krishna immediately starts telling him off like, Arjun, you talk like you are a pandit, meaning a learned, but then you are talking foolish, rather foolish. But anyway, he then goes on to tell him and instruct him, and then he tells him with 2013, the verse that one of my, I know Sri Ranga Mataji, she gave a very nice class about 2014 verse. 2013, Arjuna is being made to realize that we have an embodied soul. It says, dehinasmin yatha dehe komaram yovanam jara tha dehantir praptir dhiras tatra namuyati. So just as we can all remember that we were once a child, baby, child, then we've gone to that stages of youth, we've young, then you come to little aged and you become old, and eventually it's declining into disease, old age, death, right? And that happens to everyone. So, but there is one person inside us who remains the same irrespective of whatever our body goes through. Have you heard this phrase? Srila Prabhupada introduced it in 70s. You are not this body. So difficult to comprehend, right? Because I am this body. I am related to all these things. So Arjuna is having that difficulty. He's seeing his relationship with his grandfather and so on. Bhishma Pitama. So what Krishna starts to tell him, that there is somebody inside you who, irrespective of bodies, is always living, is eternal. Then he goes on to the next verse, which was covered yesterday by Shri, like Matra Sparshas tu Konteya Shitoshana Sukha Dukkhada Agampayana Nityas Kim Titiksava Bharata. So, O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course is like appearance and disappearance of winter and summer season. What do we do when it's too cold? We try and put our heating on, this, that, the other. In the end, if you're outside, you haven't got heating, what do? You have to tolerate it, is that right? So this is what he's saying, that they arise from sense perception. O kind of Bharata, you must learn to tolerate them. Tolerate them, but not just tolerate them without being disturbed. Because it's a phase, it'll pass by. It's temporary, right? Eventually, you'll be nice and warm in a warm, heated house. Or if it's too heated, like these days has been, 33 degrees, 32 degrees, did you want it to feel the need to go in the shade? Or did you want it to be out and about in sun? Shade? So you want to tolerate to a certain extent without being disturbed. Eventually you go and find a solution, yeah? This is how good Krishna has made us, that eventually we all want to get solution. So this is what is carrying on in this verse as well, that, oh, best among the men. So Arjuna is, oh, best among the men. So because he is best among the men, he's saying the person who is not disturbed. So dhiras tatra namuyati, he says in the previous verses. Dhira means sober. Sober person means someone who can keep it together in difficult times. When they are distressing time, like a leader, you need to lead yourself, and then you can lead your family. Because first you need to make sure that you're not too distressed with whatever comes, the onslaught of happiness and distress, and then you can actually guide others. So dhirastasra means someone who is sober, who is not disturbed. So in this verse, Krishna is saying, a person who is not disturbed by happiness or distress is steady in both, certainly is eligible for the liberation. So the two important words that Krishna is talking to us about here is Vyathayante ete. So Vyathayante, distressing. What does distress means? In Hindi, tanav. Urdu, taklif. Yes. Disturbance. Yes. And then he's saying amritatva kalpate, which means liberation. So as you think about it, they are interlinked words. Everything, whenever there's distress, we need to be steady in determination, because we need to get to the advanced stage of spiritual reality. And for that reality, we need to be able to tolerate the onslaughts of happiness and distress. And here they gave us the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that how difficult it must have been for them to leave, Why are divorces ever so difficult, right? And mostly divorce happens because of maybe the non-compatibility. Yet, it is so painful for both parties, and not to mention poor children who have to go through now, because you are severing your relationship with the person that you knew, the person you were very attached to. So in this world, we are always attached to something. And because of that attachment, the distress comes. For example, your mobile phone. Think how important it is. Forget your relations nowadays. The most distressing thing is going to come if you've missed your mobile, right? Can you imagine? That is for you. Or your car, which everybody takes so pride in, and including my son. He had to part with this his car of 4 years. And he was so like, oh, it's an end of an era. He was sending picture on Instagram. There goes my baby. Because all his feelings are attached to the car. Shri Radha Gokulanand Bhagwan Ji ki. Yet he's got a new car, but it's not as sporty. He's trying to become a man after being a boy. He's trying to go on to the next step in his life to become sensible, not have petrol guzzling, 3-liter, whatever engine, I don't even know horsepower that he had. And still it's a nice car that he's getting, but yet he's feeling, because he can't extricate his feelings from something he attached it to so much. In the end, if you think about it, it's all external, right? So this is the reality of our life, that we actually tend to feel this attachment, very much attachment. But if we want to go to liberated stage, then we need to somehow or the other tell us that we need to do certain austerities, if we abstain from someone, like on Ekadashi, we're not having grain. Why? It's not because we are looking to get liberation or anything like that, but because we are pleasing Krishna. Your daughter, your son might be studying really hard in class because you might have promised, if you do this, I might take you to Paris, to Disney World. Or they might be just feeling the need to please yourself or do justice to themselves. So willingly, when they are voluntaringly, they are actually doing these austerities by not watching TV programs whilst everybody else is watching, right? Or going to movies, going for ice cream to, all these places. Why? Because you know you have a goal to meet. And that is to get through your exams. And it's a very good goal because you need to do justice to yourself, besides other results that come by you being successful in that, right? And similarly, our goal is to please Krishna. So our result that we're going to get by doing Ekadashi is to please, because that's the day when Krishna gets easily pleased. So we refrain from eating grain willingly, because we know this way, in such a service, Krishna would never forget me. I want Krishna to remember me. And if I'm remembering Krishna all the time and I'm taking pains for him, automatically Krishna is going to be obliged. And this business of me, in a way, giving tyaga, or I'm giving up the material world, it's temporary anyway. So here Krishna is emphasizing on word called amritavya kalpate. So opposite of amritavya kalpate is mritvya, right? So in mritvya, what happens in mritvya? Mritvya means that we are associating this material world. We associate with death. We associate with birth. This is what material world is all about, yeah? Birth starts with birth, starts with death, starts with old age, through it, between the birth and death, and disease comes naturally. This is the temporary kind of world we're living in. Think about it, how difficult it's going to be for us to reach the world where Krishna is saying that you can become birthless, you can become diseaseless, you can become old ageless, yeah, and diseaseless. Well, you might be thinking, those of you who are doctors here, hang on a minute, that finishes my career, right? So, no offense to any of the doctors, but wouldn't it be wonderful if we had a world like that? I know their career might go pear-shaped, but this is the thing. So, Srila Prabhupada's one of his class, he gave a very nice examples, and I'm mostly speaking from this class of his. He's the one who's given us this insight. So if you ever want to Google it, listen to the whole class. Obviously, we only have 40 minutes, so I won't be able to say the whole thing. But he tells us that nice formula has been given in Bhagavad Gita, which is what is referring to this. Because Srila Prabhupada is telling us that you can become birthless, you can become deathless, you can become old ageless. You don't have to go through old age. But how do we turn around these things, right? How do we make it, this material world that we are born in, how do we make it work for ourselves? So for a start, we start off by this nice formula is called transmigration of the soul. So if we realize this transmigration of soul is important, and that's what's going to think, and we become knowledgeable, we'd be able to put that knowledge in most circumstances and try and work out solution. We don't want to just give you all the notes so that you can pass your this exam, because you could do it one time. We want to become capable. How can we become capable? Even in school, they just coach you. They let you, this is the difference between mentoring and coaching, right? We all work. Where I come from, we have lots of places where we full-time work, we have to mentor people, we have to coach, we get coached, you know. And what does coaching is, how is that different? They give you that capability by which you can actually find your own solution. They make you feel acquainted with your own internals, what you like, what you think, how can you find a solution yourself? Because you know what the saying is, you might know that one is like, teach a man to fish, is it? So if you give somebody something to eat once, they'd be happy, right? But then what about the next meal? But if you teach someone to get their work or get their food, they would be happy forever. So this is where Srila Prabhupada is trying to coach us, that we all learn how can we become birthless in this world? How can we become diseaseless in this world? How can we get over the disease, death, and so on, by realizing. So now, in this particular instance, you can see Arjuna is feeling that. But what Srila Prabhupada is saying is, Krishna is trying to tell him that if you are transmigrating of the soul, how are you killing your grandpa if you know that the soul is Aja Nityam Shashvatam Yam Purano Na Hanyate Hanyamane Sharire? So there's a verse, I think 220, in which it says, Najayate Mriyateva Kadachin Nayam Bhutva Bhavitaya Nabhuya Ajo Nityam Shashvatam Yam Purano Na Hanyate Hanyamane Sharire. I'm sure you would have listened this a lot of places. And it says, for the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Just because the body is dying doesn't mean the person inside me is dying too. Because think about it otherwise. I was a baby. I don't remember that. But that part is gone. So am I dead? I'm not. Then I became a teenager. I remember a little bit of that. Now I'm 50-something. I'm becoming towards sannyasi. But we can't all leave home and go and pray in the mountains, do we? We all have to pay our mortgage. Do you want to raise your children and grandchildren? I have grandchildren now. So I want to do things for them. So how do we become renunciate in our life is also given by Srila Prabhupada. We don't necessarily have to go all the way to Himalayas. I mean, we go for sightseeing, fair enough. See Mansarovar, there are beautiful places there. I haven't gone, but one of my friends has gone. She's 70-something. She's brave. She's done walking. She's made herself eligible to have those views because she's put her physical health through certain austerities, like we're talking about it. You only become eligible after putting yourself through some austerities. Austerities is willingly going through troubles to have a bigger purpose, for a higher purpose. For her, it's that. So we can't leave everything and go. But what we can do is we can bring Krishna into our center. We can actually learn the knowledge that Krishna is giving us here. For example, then Srila Prabhupada goes on to tell us, and my Guru Maharaj always said, like, he gave us an example of a car. He said, when you have a car, even if you're very good and you don't believe in changing them so quickly to retain the value, you have one car, you drive it for years and years and years. Eventually there comes a time where you feel, oh, MOT is going to fail. Oh, this is crashing up, or it's crashed up, I need to do something about it. And yet you are so attached to that car because you've driven it for that many years, you're loyal to it, all your feelings are there as well. But what is the point of going to mechanic and getting it repaired so often? Similarly, that analogy is my Guru Maharaj also uses for body. And he says, when our body gets old and is dwindling down and it's got so many problems, what is the point of us going every 2 minutes to hospital to get it fixed? I mean, don't get me wrong, we all will do. You have to fight for your life. Please don't get the wrong message out of it. Please try and see the message that I and Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj and his Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada wants to give. And most of all, it's Krishna's words. So Krishna is saying, there's no gain. What is the word? There's no pain. There's no gain. So what he's saying is that if you come to that stage, then Guru Maharaj would say, my dad is a millionaire. Because who's our ultimate dad? Lord Krishna. Has he got dearth of money? He's got millions and trillions and stuff. Just like we go and buy a new car, why can't Krishna give me a new body? So he's telling me that your soul is now going to pass into a new body when a baby comes out. So where is the need for lamentation? And of course, our attachment remains. Like I said to you, my son is so attached to his car. Yesterday he took us somewhere and he was still saying, oh, it's not the same, Mom. It's not the same because it's sports. It made all these noises as soon as he put the start button on. He's missing that. But, in the end, a car is a car. It's not something that is you. Similarly, all these things we say, we are not this body. So similarly, we are not this dream. Why does Srila Prabhupada introduce this thing? You're not this body, you're not this dream, is because in his lecture that he gave in 21st of November 1972 in Hyderabad, he says because material body is all about birth, old age, disease, death, which is the opposite of Amrita Kalpate. What is Amrita Kalpate? We are in our original constitutional position where we are not subjected to birth, old age, death, and disease. How does that happen? That happens when we actually associate with Krishna. And in Brahma Samhita, in text 5.1, we say, Ishvara Param Krishna Sachid Ananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karan Kamana. Sachit Ananda Vigraha. So that we are the part and parcel of that Krishna. So once we accept that we are not of this material body, we have something inside us which is eternal. We will not be disturbed by what might be given or come our way in this material world, but we will stay as a sober person, dhiras satra, dhiras. We will have that knowledge with which this is temporary. This is only a dream. You go on holiday, you do quite a few things. What happens when you have to come back from holiday? Long faces of children, is that right, children? Do you guys go to school? Is it your holidays that's just started? And August is very lovely, but when you have to go in September, what happens? Oh, Mom, I don't want to go to school. First day of school is painful for parents, right? And children, and it's more painful for children, they don't want to wake up at 7 a.m. to go to school at 9. Is that right? You're smiling. What's your name? Your name? Huh? Dhyan. Wow, Dhyan, you've got a beautiful name. So if we put Dhyan on our Dhyan or our concentration or our whole focus, Dhyan, on Krishna, how beautifully we can then overcome some of the stuff. Because we know we have a choice. We can either start associating with this material world, or we can actually become deathless, birthless, by remembering we are part and parcel of Krishna. And it's a nice formula about transmigration. And we've mentioned you go on holidays, eventually they finish. It's just like dream. You know, we have 2 types of bodies. Who tells me? Who believes that you have 2 types of bodies? You're thinking, oh, she's gone Dulali, right? She's gone mad. But you think about it. When you sleep at night, do you do dreaming? What's your name? Arnav. So do you have dreams, Arnav? When your body is on bed, how are you in your dream gone somewhere else and doing something? Because we are, by nature, is that we cannot actually stay still. We always got to be doing something or the other. So how does that work? So you have 2 bodies. One body is gross body, which we are. You can see mine, and I can see yours, and we can see everyone. And that's made up of what? 5 elements mainly. Earth, water, fire, ether, and air. Isn't it, Mataji? So 5 elements of that. But then there is another body, which is subtle body, which travels in minutes to, I might be wanting to go Vrindavan while I'm in my dream. Or I might be feeling, oh, in my dream, I was a king. And everybody was on around me. And Buckingham Palace was mine. And I didn't need to worry about anything in my life. I didn't have to get up and go and be a civil servant for the rest of my life, right? But guess what? After 20 minutes, when I woke up, I thought, oh, God, I was only dreaming. A beautiful dream, but it ends, right? Similarly, for those of you who have in your dream shouted at night sometimes, oh, whatever else you shout at night, because you're having a dream that maybe a tiger is attacking you. It feels so real, right? Why does it feel real? Because there is a subtle body. So there's 2 combinations. One is gross body, one is subtle body. Subtle body is made up of 3 things, which is your intelligence, mind, and false ego. So when you're dreaming, that subtle body is taking you all these places and doing things, right? But when tiger is attacking you and you think, oh, I'm feeling the pain, you wake up, or somebody wakes you up and saying, hey, my husband, like, I sometimes, he wakes me and says, why are you screaming in your dream? And then I'm thinking, oh, it was only a dream or nightmare, more like, right? So similarly, our life is very short, very temporary. And it says in Krishna books that we need to get out of this thinking of just that I need to associate with just material life, because when I get old, I can do things. When I become little later, I can do that. And this is where you see all these lovely, lovely people in orange robes in our manor, all these people, because they are Kripa Buddhir, and obviously Srila Prabhupada is, because he tells us we need to get to Brahma Bhuya that stage, Brahma Prasannatma na sochati na kongshati. So where you become in a happiness state, so you're not distressed by dreams of this temporary world. You're not going to be distressed by, oh, I've only got this to deal with or that to deal with. It's all temporary. You can make a big mahal for yourself to live in, but in the end, what happens? Rajesh Krishna was saying to me, you can use this example. You saw our beautiful, lovely queen. She reigned for so long. In the end, what's happened to Buckingham Palace? What's happened to all her wealth? Could she take it with her? Right? As soon as a person closes their eyes and that eternal soul thing leaves the body, everything gets given to somebody else. So yes, you need things to run your life, and you have to have a nice house, all these things, but within reasons. Along with that is your time is very short in this world, so you also need to do the most important thing, which is called spiritual progression. It's like we have to run on a train. Train runs on two lines. Yes, carry on, go achieve your dreams, go get what you want to be. And at the same time, don't ignore your eternal dharma of also liberating yourself. Because if you're just doing all sorts of knowledge, but you're not giving yourself spiritual knowledge, you're not, I'm sorry to say, doing yourself a favor or your children. Because how can you teach them something you don't know yourself? This is where you have to find a bona fide guru. And this is where Krishna tells us that because our time is so short, we need to be naturally inquisitive. So this is where they say, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. So when we start our inquiry, we go through Vedanta. Vedanta means ultimate knowledge. We've been given these books by Srila Prabhupada, written up in English, from Sanskrit, all the languages you can think of. And to conclude, I need to say that Krishna conscious movement is educating people. Why is it that? Because once you're educated, you can educate someone else and you can save your family. In fact, there is one verse which says that you have no right to become, you can't get your children out of Andhakupa, which is like the most biggest disaster, is that they need to be able to find their spirituality as well. And in one of the verses, it says, we know in this world, it's in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.10, if you ever want to look up. It says, Prayajana alpa ayusha sabhya kala asmin yuge jana manda sumanda mateo manda bhagya upadrita. Upadrita means someone who is in this age of Kali. We are all in a constant stage of distress, or always disturbed. Our lives are short. People are quarrelsome. They are lazy. They are, they always have short lives. So in this short life, how do we become birthless? How do we come to that Amritavya Kalpate stage where we become in our original position, constitutional position? By serving Krishna, we would feel. Now, I've given this example very many times before I go on to conclude, how we can stop being disturbed and distressed and anxious, because there is a solution. And you all are doing it. You're part of that solution. You are here. You could have been doing a lot of other things today. But you already have this knowledge. And you're putting it into practice. And this is the solution. But at the same time, one needs to realize that, I only have short life. And I need to have a solution. And actually, I'm forgetting what I was going to say. But another point I can make out is one question that was asked 5,000 years ago or years ago was, anyone know what was Yamraj asked Yudhishthir Maharaj? Can you remember that question, anyone? Yeah. So what is the most wonderful thing in this world? What do you think? Prabhuji, what's your name? Ravi. Ravi means Suraj, right? Means sun. So you give light of knowledge to everyone. So why don't you enlighten us all? What do you think that question could have been like? Spirituality? But okay, that's not incorrect. Anybody else? So the question that Yamraj asked Dharamraj Yudhishthir is, you tell me, what is the most wonderful thing in this world? Like Mataji said, she said amazing things, but what is the most wonderful thing in this world? Now, if you think about it, there's 10,000 things we can think of, right? Who likes chocolate? That might be very amazing for them. Yeah, I thought Dhyan was going to raise his hand. But yeah, more than that as well, and he's not wrong, we're not wrong, there are very many amazing things, but the most wonderful thing he says is, hundreds and hundreds of people who are living entities meet death at every moment. And the people who are left behind, they think it's never going to happen to them. So there is a verse, Ahani hani bhutani gachyante yam alayam shesha shravam ichanti kim ascharyam ataparam. And it's there in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.2.57, if anybody wants to look it up. I'm not making it up. And in there, they're saying this, and it happens, isn't it? We get so distressed when we hear, oh, and then we just carry on after a certain time in our normal person. Can we take a little minute and think, hang on a minute, this can also happen to me? So for that, I would say practically, first of all, you should all buy, this Tulsi Kanthi Mala. You know why? Because Tulsi is so dear to Sri Krishna. Have you noticed? On their feet, Tulsi Maharani is always there. So when she is there with you, certainly yum's not going to come. Vishnu Dut come is different. You've probably heard how a cat, when she catches a mouse, is totally different to when she catches her little kittens softly and makes it lovingly, put it somewhere. Similarly, I'm not saying we're never ever going to die. We don't have any problems. I'm saying we want to have a brain which would give us the insight into how we are Krishna's eternal pass and parcel. Krishna's eternal. Look how young he looks. Navayovanam. He's Purana, like oldest, yet he looks so young. So what we can do is we can associate with Krishna more. And how can we associate? And this is, again, a solution. Normally, over there, it's usually written. You know that Hare Krishna mantra? But again, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, verse 6.242, it says, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam, kalau nasti, 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 gatiranyatha, Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam eva kevalam. So 3 times they're saying Harir Nam. So this is the solution for this age of Kali. Kali is full of hypocrisy, full of all of these things. And in this world, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other but that in the middle, golden avatar, he has given us this light of knowledge. By chanting this mantra, you will see the change your body and you bring to yourself. You will have problems, but you'd be able to solve them like that. You would have distressing things, but you'd be able to detach yourself from that. Because you have to realize what is the higher purpose, right? So thank you all, and to my online viewers, if any, for listening and tolerating me. You've done good thing by tolerating at least me. So if there's any questions, and any comments, then we'll open up. And thank you so much again for listening. There's going to be Aarti in just 5 minutes. But if you have any questions, I can answer for 1 or 2 minutes, if that's okay. What was the answer? That what is the most wonderful thing? So this is what Yamraj is saying, that Yamraj is the king of death, right? So we say we don't want to have Yamraj in our life, right? So when people die, Yamraj is the person who takes with all the people who are dealing with death. So what he's saying is, I see so many people who are dying every single moment, every single day. But people who are left behind, because I'm sure there's no household here who have not dealt with death in their life and in their household. There isn't a household who hasn't. And yet people who are left behind, he finds it so amazing, they think it's never going to happen to them. Because they're not learning, they're not trying to make most of their short lives by taking on to spirituality, to taking on to make the something that's inside you more strong than just this, putting all the faces, makeup, all the mods cons. What about the person inside me? That needs to be strengthened. How is it going to be strengthened? By actually feeding the right kind of things to them. I feed my tummy because everything else gets fed. Similarly, if I take on Krishna consciousness, automatically you would be able to have solution to a lot of problems, right? So that was the amazing question that he asked. Anything else? Although we haven't got more time now, it's 2 minutes. So I will say to you, Bhagavad Gita as it is ki? Would you say we are thankful to Srila Prabhupada who's brought this? We're sitting here in London and talking about this. Could you have imagined if he didn't come in 70s? So His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki? Yes. Thank you. And Bhagavad Gita as it is ki? Yes. Thank you again. Hare Krishna. Aarti will be starting in 2 minutes. Thank you. Hari Hari.